Hi, welcome to our channel. We decided to do a deck review. This is our Kyurem deck, if you can't tell. So, this is the deck. We're going to go over what's in it and the evolution of it and what it's been able to do. So, it's a Kyurem deck. It's the vmax. It's the vmax deck, and the vmax deck's ability is, what's it called?
It's Max Frost.
Max Frost. And when you do Max Frost, what happens, Colton?
You discard any amount of water energy from that Pokemon. And it does 50 for each.
And a base of 120.
With a base of 120. Which means for just 3 energies, you're knocking out most V-Stars and Vs and low-level EXs. But for 4, and well, actually for 5, you're knocking out anything.
Right.
Because that means you're doing 370.
And in this deck, we also have a Greninja, Radiant Greninja, a 2-2 line of Hisuian Basculin and Hisuian Basculegion, and a 202 line of Excalibur. Is that what it is?
Yes.
And then, of course, 2 or 3 rare candies. No, you only have 2 rare candies.
3 of the Kyurem line. 1 of the Radiant Greninja. With the Concealed Cards and Moonlight Shuriken. Good for spread damage.
And this deck is really important to keep energy moving.
Yes. Which is why we have cards like these.
Yep. The Excalibur lets you attach at will, and the Basculegion lets you attack and get it back in your deck.
Which is why if you ask me, these two are perfect for each other.
That's right. They work well together, and there's 22 energy.
Yes.
No special energy and no tools. This deck has actually, now these are local little tournaments at comic book stores, but it's done very well. It's finished in the money 2 or 3 times, usually because it's being played by the only teenager. It's undefeated in its class, but against adults and good decks, it's regularly done well. It hasn't actually won a tournament, but it's finished second and third.
And at this one tournament, we'd like to make a joke that I did get first place.
Because there was a misstart.
Because I played against the person who got first place and beat him.
In the first game that didn't count because of a technical error. It was really... And then they played in the finals, and the other guy won. And it was a one-on-one. The trainers in this deck, we have a lot of supporters. And they are important.
We have Youngster to refill the deck and get new cards. We have Jacques to get out, like, the Basculegion, Kyurem. Yes.
Yeah. Now, the one problem with this deck is the only basic attacker is Greninja.
Yeah.
But you rarely get into a pickle with that.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Because not many Pokemon do anything with evolutions. And if any of you play a deck with evolutions, that's a very smart idea, and good job.
Yeah. It's the way the game is supposed to be played. They're trying to get back to that with the EXs, get back to the evolution. The Vs, there were too many basics. I love them.
And easier to get back out. Yeah, but then they're going to do the exact same thing as they've done with the EXs, what was it, 3 sets ago, like an X and Y. Yeah. Those are basics.
Yeah. And there's going to be some basics, but you're giving up the HP.
Exactly.
I guess what they're saying in Pokemon is that the GX experiment was wrong.
And
the tag team stuff was a disaster. Although we loved it and we came in and we playing it, the problem is the HP's too low and it's 3 prize cards.
Yeah, because you have 270 HP. That's the same thing as V-Stars.
Yeah, but you're putting them down right away, and it's like, oh my gosh. So
but they do have powerful attacks.
You're getting hit twice and losing games.
But they do have powerful attacks. Yes. Like with Buzzwole and Pheromosa being able to take, what was it, 4 prize cards?
Extra prize cards, but it's really hard to pull off.
Yeah.
You have to discard a bunch of energy.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, attach a lot of extra energy. So, Jacques.
And then we have Candace to get out the energy and the Pokemon.
We don't see a lot online, which is weird because we think it's such a good card because it looks at 7 and takes whatever you need. And in this deck, because there's so many energy.
And then also all the Pokemon, you're almost guaranteed at least 1 card.
Well, no, you're getting more than 1. You're usually getting 2, 3, 4.
At worst, you're getting 1.
Yeah. It's really, in the numbers, I forget how many trainers are in this, but in the numbers, it's really hard to whiff on it.
Yeah. Then we have research.
But we only have 1. Because once you get this deck rolling, you got to worry about your deck.
Yeah.
You got to worry about your deck. So you don't want to research twice.
Yeah. and then 2 Aritas to get out the items and the Pokemon.
Or the Greninja. It's just so important.
Yes.
Matter of fact, this deck, sometimes we think maybe it needs another one. But two at a minimum.
Yeah.
Very
2 is
important.
good for now, though. Larry, because it's awesome.
I don't know why you love this deck card, but you do.
If you flip a coin, you get 2 Pokemon.
You get 2 of anything.
Or you get a basic.
Or
You're
you get a
getting
basic.
something either way. It's
You're
a
getting
better
something.
Mesagoza.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that way. It's like Megagoza, but it's your supporter. It's just kind of
And
funny.
it's better.
And it's done what it's been in this deck. It hasn't hurt it.
Exactly.
Hasn't hurt it yet.
It's actually helped it.
Boss,
2 bosses.
And they're important.
For the potential one-hit KO on anything you want.
You don't have a POW pad.
I do have a power.
Oh, you do have a POW pad. Good.
And then 2 Melanies.
Which is real important for the escalation.
Yes, and that's why I'm going to be very sad soon.
Yeah. During rotation, this deck's going to be hard to save. Actually, is that an E or an F?
That's an F.
That's an F.
It's not going to be hard to save. It's going to be easy to save. Just wish I would not. It would never come to this.
Now, stadiums aren't a big deal, but it's another one of these decks. It's sort of like my Rotom deck where it does something, it does it really well, and it's going to have some limitations. Obviously, if you go up against a Path to the Peak, you have a problem.
Yeah.
So putting a lost vacuum in this deck would be nice, but you only have 2 options of getting rid of it. One, to just hold on to a little bit of energy. The other one, just to help with math sometimes.
Sometimes.
It's really not important.
Yeah.
I've noticed playing against you, you know how you use it? It's more of a gust the other stadium away as opposed to doing anything.
Really, I use this one more because if you retreat, you keep the energy.
Yeah,
and that's good in this deck. Unless you unless you place it down accidentally and you think you're going to use Basket Legion.
I meant Excalibur. If it's
I have done. If it's Excalibur, it's good. But
great.
with the mistake of Basket Legion, I've done that a few times myself.
It's a misplay. So if there's a change to this deck, it might be the amount of certain supporters and the distribution and amount of stadiums. That's the wiggle room with this deck. The Pokies, the energy, and the amount of trainers is actually very well balanced.
And maybe then also like add Forest Seal Stone or 2 just to help get the stuff out.
It doesn't do the forest, and you also don't do the VIP pass. But
I do the VIP.
Oh, I'm sorry. It does have 2
two.
It has 2 VIP passes. That's right. It has 2 VIP passes, and it also has the Hisuian Basculin, which sometimes you're okay with losing one because it helps you set up. So if you get one of these and a Basculin Legion,
your
bench is done.
Yeah.
And one of those is going to be a Greninja.
Yeah, most likely.
And so once you get the Greninja, the energy comes pretty quick.
Yeah. But then, item-wise, we have Ultra Ball to discard 2, so like 2 water energies, and get any Pokemon.
Which sometimes in this deck helps for that math with the Basket Legion.
Yes.
There have been games where it's been like, oh, I just need to discard them out of my hand to do a Basket Legion attack. So it's a weird way. The Basket Legion and the Greninja allow for alternate attacking in this deck.
Yeah.
Which in certain games, especially once you get ahead of the prize train, you retreat the Kyurems and you go forward with those 2 because they're single prizers.
Yeah.
And
that way you're not potentially giving up a human 3 prize cards and getting below the prize train.
Yeah, this deck has a lot of lateral movement, which is pretty cool.
Or you're not wasting it to fight against Eradicate, which we may do a deck profile of soon with my own deck.
Right.
Which my dad hates.
It's not ready yet, but it's annoying because it kills everything. You got to stop it before it gets started.
Yes. It's sort of like the Eradicate Claude Sire that was humongous, whichever set came out. What was it? Paldea Evolved or Obsidian Flames? One of those 2. But it's instead of giving up 2 prize cards with a poison, you're giving up 1.
Right.
You may know what I'm saying because this deck was really able to come out in Paradox Rift.
It's helped it.
Yeah.
It's really helped it. And it's against this deck. I mean, you're not going to see it very often because it's kind of a goof deck or a troll deck because of what it's doing. But when you get it, you have to strategize against it. You have to kill it when it's on the bench. If you don't, once
then
it gets going,
it
one-shots everything because it takes the HP down to 1.
And then
you poison it, so everything dies in the checkup.
So it's essentially just the Rat and Claude Sire.
Yeah,
but
it's the same type of thing.
But you're not giving up 2 prize cards. You're giving up 1, potentially.
But
and you don't have as many supporters.
Right.
I mean, stadiums.
So you got
And
the
then-
PAL pads mostly to redo the Melanies or the boss or the Iritas.
Or boss.
Yeah. So I realize that's all of it. It's like whatever
So,
you need, but those
yeah.
playing against it, those are the ones you usually need. It's like, oh, I need that boss.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to. I need that.
It's mainly just whatever you need at the time period that you need it.
So you can,
basically.
So that's why that's why he only runs 2 of those, is because
One.
he has I'm sorry, you only run 2 bosses and
Oh yeah,
2
2
Iritas
bosses, 2
because
Iritas,
of
and
the
2
PAL
Melanies.
pad.
Yeah.
Because you're like, at some point I'm going to see it.
And then 2 rare candies. Back Excalibur. That's why I don't play
Which is a little
Arc.
weird. It's one thing in this deck that's a little scary is that you do not run an Arcabax.
I don't need an Arctibax. That's
But
just.
it doesn't seem to be a problem.
It doesn't, because the chances I prize both of them are very, very low, and if it did happen, I'd be surprised. But I wouldn't necessarily
it's just
worry.
as easy. It's just as easy that you could prize 2 of the Excaliburs or 2 of the Frigibax.
But then again, I don't worry as much because, one, Kyurem can supply itself because of 3-shooter world.
If it needs to. It's just
and
slower.
then, 2, there's also the Melanie. So it can supply its own.
Yeah.
And then I play 2 Earthen Vessels that came from Paradox Rift.
These are new cards that have come out that really help it.
That, again, that you discard an energy or something and get 2 energies.
VIP pass, and go get energy.
Yeah.
And put it down, or whatever you got to do. It also helps to fuel your early in the game. It will help to fuel the
Basque Legion.
or the
Kyurem.
Greninja.
Yes.
And
Get, like, the
start churning cards.
energies for concealed cards.
So what's odd about this deck is you look at it and you say, well, gee, what's the card churn? It's odd. It's the energy moving through.
Yeah.
And you have a built-in retrieval with
Basque
actually
Legion.
it's not even a retrieval. It's better than retrieval because, as we've discussed with the Basque Legion, there is a theoretical 440 damage that this deck can do. If all of the energy get in the discard pile.
Yeah, but most of the time, if you were to get all the energies in, because you're probably still going to have 3 on a Kyurem, you may have a few in the deck, so maybe 2, and then you're probably going to prize, like, 2.
Yeah,
so
it's hard. But
that's -7.
You can easily get into the 300s. You can one-shot anything with that Basque Legion if it goes, and then everything goes back in the deck, so it's hard to deck out.
But even then, if you're only down by 7, that's still 300 damage. Yeah. That's still pretty good.
And then a couple of super rods, mainly just get back pokies.
Mainly Pokemon, but if I don't have the Basque Legion, like I prized it or it's still in my deck somewhere, just to retrieve the energies.
Right.
And
so
then...
There are another card from the new sets that have really helped.
Yeah. And then VIP Pass, because VIP Pass.
And we're really hoping that they let us keep VIP Pass past rotation. They do something to let it stay or redo it.
And Melanie.
Melanie's gone because she's a supporter.
Melanie,
So, sometimes they save the items. It's like we're hoping, like they saved Ultra Ball last time in Switch. It's like, what are they going to give us back? I'm hoping it's the VIP Pass, although I don't think it is.
And then the deck box that it's in. This is the deck box.
And you saw the Perlebead. Look at the Perlebead.
Like I said in an earlier video, I make those. We have some of them on our wall. There are some of our better decks or just our plain decks.
No. See, it's terrifying Mewtwo. He's running away.
Yeah. That's the strength of this deck. It's my best deck because not only is it big and can hit the big damage, it's consistent.
It's consistent. It's I wouldn't call it super fast, but it's not slow usually. Probably like if we play it 5 times, it's going to be slow in one of those games.
Yes.
In the other 4,
but even if it's slow, I'm most likely winning because if in this deck I have seen that if I get a bad start, 99% of the time I'm recovering.
Yeah, there's recoverability in this, partly because it is harder to take out the Kyurem because it's big.
Yes, because 330 HP, not much knocks it off.
Matter of fact, if you could figure out some way to put a Cheryl in this deck, I mean, that would be really weird. Okay.
Well, speaking of which, I have an idea for later that I'll tell you. Okay. But anyway, this is the deck box. The decks that have been in this deck have varied. Because originally, it had my Garchomp deck from, what was it? Ultra Prism or Forbidden Light?
Forbidden Light.
Which was...
Royal Blades and, what's the other attack?
Quick Dive.
Quick Dive.
It's just an awesome deck. We may do a deck profile of that one in a future time. Same as my dad's deck that he calls Greenie. And it's just Grass-type Pokemon. And then... it had my version of a lightning deck. I can't seem to make it right though, because while yes, it is fast, it doesn't hit the big numbers.
It's basically a Raichu deck.
Yeah, not basically. It's a Raichu deck.
Yeah, but it's a Raichu deck. Originally, it didn't even have Miraidon in it and stuff. We built
No,
it before.
it still had Miraidon in it.
When you first built it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because okay, so then.
But what we do is we only have 2 of these boxes, and typically our best deck goes in it because it's the type of thing you would take to a tournament.
And then one good thing about it, there's your die, and then there's your box.
And you can put all your markers in it that you need, and your die, so you can grab one thing and go. So it's really nice for a tournament. I'm sure you people have seen ones like that, but if people haven't,
or something like it,
buy some type of box like this where you can have your dice in it.
Yeah.
Because literally, you got to go to a tournament. This is all you have to take, and a mat.
Yes.
And you're done.
Now for the evolution of this deck.
Yes. When you first built it, what was in it? I forget.
I don't even remember. One thing I do remember. Oh, I think I had Pokemon Go Slowbro.
The Slowbro that does the extra prize card.
And then I also had. When I first built this deck, I was like, I need to prepare for every circumstance. So if I do need to fight back, knock something out with the V Kyurem, I put in an Articuno just so I could hit those numbers.
Yeah, a bench setter Articuno. That's whoops.
From Pokemon Go as well.
That's a problem I find with us building decks. When we first build a deck, we have too many ideas in it and have to take out and find out what the root of the deck is, and then hone in on that. Short of,
but
you can always go online and look at deck lists and go off other people. I kind of hate doing that. I kind of like building it organically. This deck is with your Garchomp, with my Rotom, with well, a little bit less with Rotom, but with the Rotom, with my Glaceon deck, and even with the Mewtwo deck.
They're all organic. Granted,
we built them because we found the cards.
Yes, like with this deck, I built it before anybody realized it was awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't ranked. It wasn't ranked when you built it.
It wasn't a meta deck when I first built it. It wasn't ranked when I built it. It was just, hey, it's a card.
I know it's a mid-ranked deck, but it's on there. It's done well in big tournaments.
Yeah,
it's
like
different people.
I forgot who the guy who made it was, but there was a deck that had 30 energies that played the Celebrations Kyogre, and that did well in tournaments.
Something tournament players are going to do with it. I just find that boring. This deck is funner to play than the Kyogre version.
I'm thinking of putting a Kyogre in, like just one.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe to have another basic attacker that can also do some sniping.
Mm-hmm.
And because you have 22 energies, getting at least some energy a third of the time.
Right. So, but it had the Articuno.
It had the Articuno. It had the Slowbro from Pokemon Go. It had Chin Pao and Palkia V-Star.
It did have Chin Pao. I remember the Chin Pao. And actually, it did well at tournaments with Chin Pao, but we found, I believe you found you could do everything without the Chin Pao. You don't need it.
Chin Pao is, it's a card that, while yes, it helps in most water decks, it's preferable not to have it in water decks. It's preferable to keep it its own deck so it can do what it likes when it likes to do it.
And being the person that plays this deck, what I found was it was a free prize card.
Yeah, exactly. 2 free prize cards.
Because it was easier to hit, and you would boss it up and kill it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I took 2. So instead of bossing up the Greninja and killing it, I'd boss up the Chin Pao and I'd get a second card. And so it was taking it out actually made the deck better. Because now if you're going for the bench, if you can't hit something big, you're trying to trap you, or you're taking a single prize, which means it's the Basculegion or the Baxcalibur or the Greninja. And so there's not a lot of extra Pokey in this. It doesn't have a lot of Pokey flying around. Yeah. And the level of energy has changed. It's been...
I think at first I had 30 energy in this deck.
And it's down.
No, at first I had, I didn't have a lot of energy in this deck. And then I took so many cards out.
And it's because of that ability.
And then the ability. You discard a card from your deck, and if it's an water energy, you attach it to one of your Pokemon.
Yep.
And that's one reason why the 30 energy deck is just awesome. Because you're hitting that most of the time.
We were watching a video today of somebody that has a Greninja deck, and it was a different one.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's
the guy.
It's on the channel For the Win TCG. If you want to watch it, you're going to have to go to his channel, and you're going to have to scroll back a bit. He posted it like a month ago, but... sure you would still be able to find it.
The one instance that was very noticeable in how this deck works, because he has so many energy in it, he brought forward the Kyurem with no energy on it. He had one in his hand.
He had 3 in his hand. He was able to attach one, and then because he had a second Kyurem, used Glaciated World and got 2 extra energies attached, and was able
Boom,
to win the
boom, hit on
game.
both of them. And
Against a Miraidon deck, no less.
He knocked out the Raikou, bam, like that. It was like, wow. And that's what this deck can do. It can accelerate.
Yes.
So it's nice. Now, some of it's luck, but it's good. It's like, that's why it's fun to play. It's like, oh, man. And it wins enough that when it loses, you don't feel bad.
Yeah, because it's like...
It's not frustrating.
Also, another thing. When I first built it, like, a year or some ago, yes, this is an old deck, I was counting how many wins I had. And this number has stayed engraved in my head. At one point, like, a day or the same day I built... A day after or the same day I built it, it had won 9 out of 13 of the games it played.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking... I was just so excited about that because it's a new deck.
Mm.
It's like how I felt with my Eradicate deck.
It started out really good and it's gotten better. What's weird is I remember when you built it, I had the Rotom deck.
Yeah, Rotom.
No, it wasn't Rotom. What was it? I had something.
I think it was Luxray.
Was it Luxray? It was Luxray. That's what it was.
Luxray from Brilliant Stars that does Energy Crush. Basically, a lower level Magnezone, but
yeah.
It's debatable which one's better.
Yeah, so they're very similar.
Because Magnezone, while yes, it has more HP, if it does get knocked out, they're taking 2 prize cards instead of 1.
It's just harder to knock out. So they're very similar. But I had that deck, and you said, I want a deck that does some type of damage escalation.
Oh, wait. That's not how it started, though. It's because of your Crabominable deck from Fusion Strike.
It was Crabominable. Okay,
and then,
that's right. That did damage counters. He wanted to do something weird. So the first thing hold on. The first thing you went to was Keldeo.
From Space Set Sword and Shield, yes.
You built that one first.
And then I went to this Kyurem.
And then you got frustrated with it because it wasn't working, and you pivoted to this.
Yes.
And that started to take off. So actually, this deck started with the Keldeo idea.
Yes. And also the fact that in our Pokemon group, my dad and somebody else, they both had awesome water decks. So I was like, I want to build an awesome water deck.
That's right. We had a lot of water decks back then. And now everything's lightning. Back then it was water. This is about 2 years ago.
Everything's lightning for you.
How old is this deck? You think it's 2 years old or a year and a half?
At least, I'm pretty sure it's a year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah, I would say the end of 21. Or it was the beginning of 22.
I remember it being in the summer.
Oh, it can't be more than... So it's less than a year and a half. Wow. Wow. Maybe that's true. Maybe it is less than a year and a half. That is true because when I built Krabby, it's only a year and a half. Wow, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But that's our video about this deck. We're going to try to do some more. I don't know which one we'll do next. Probably one of my decks.
Probably his best deck, which, oddly enough, is the rival of this deck, and maybe just a tiny bit better, never placed in a tournament.
That's true. It's not done as well in a tournament. This one has not blown up. It's done very well in tournament. Let's say it properly. It's done well. And when you consider that it's a teenager playing against adults, it's been like, hey, that's pretty nice. It's been like a really cool deck.
And the only senior to win and be undefeated.
That is right. It has never lost against another senior.
Because there's been like 2 or 3 that have come and they weren't good.
It's really funny. So we thank you. Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe just to let us know what we're doing is worth it. Plus, it also helps other people see it and see our shorts. We do shorts every day, Pokemon of the day or Blast from the Past.
And check out For the Win TCG because he actually plays decks like this. He'll play tournament decks that do very well. He'll play maybe just some random decks he plays, like he has a Rogue Trio deck. I find that very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find like deck profiles like this interesting, you may find that interesting as well.
Okay, great.
So yeah, see ya.